people often confuse responsibility and accountability. And, it's really simple when you boil it down that there is only one person that can be accountable. Because if you have multiple owners, multiple accountabilities, and the reality is who takes responsibility, who takes the ultimate accountability, I should say, when things aren't going as planned.
The question is from Thinking Focus.
Hi, this is Rob from Thinking Focus.
Hi, this is Ricky from Thinking Focus.
And the question is, why should RACI, RACI, really be ARCI, ARCI? So what we're talking about here really, Ricky, is the tool that's been around for donkey's years about how we get other people involved in our plans. And there's a RACI matrix, isn't there?
Yeah, I think, we've used this for many, many years, and it's a great tool. RACI is a brilliant tool to make sure that you've got all bases covered. Who do we allocate responsibility to? Who's accountable for this? Who needs to be consulted along the way? And who do we need to be informed about this particular project, change, whatever it might be, or goal, of course. And it actually is a fundamental step in our organised step within Fudu.
Yes, it is, because it really helps with, if you like, the allocation of that all-important resource, the people resource. And I'm glad you spelled it all out, because there may be some people, it occurs to me, who haven't used RACI before or are not really familiar with it as a tool. So the responsibility, accountability, consulted and informed piece is all that we're talking about here, a tool to enable us to be organised.
Yeah, and I think, stakeholder engagement is a fundamental aspect of any successful project. And often it's an area that's either assumed, overlooked, or, certainly in some of the projects I was involved in way back when in corporate land was, well, they'll just have to get on board then, won't they? The problem is, as you well know, as a change expert, it don't work like that. So actually we do need perhaps some prompters, some guide rails, if you like, in terms of how we handle particular individuals or particular groups within an organization to ensure that they're coming on the journey with us.
So I think we would all agree that actually, if we're thinking about those stakeholders, there is somebody or there are people who should be responsible for stuff. There are people who are accountable for things, and we need to consult with some people and we need to inform others. So what's the issue here then? What's the issue about responsibility over accountability, or the other way around?
Well, I think for me, it really comes down to priority or hierarchy, if you like. And the reality is people often confuse responsibility and accountability. And, it's really simple when you boil it down that there is only one person that can be accountable. Because if you have multiple owners, multiple accountabilities, and the reality is who takes responsibility, who takes the ultimate accountability, I should say, when things aren't going as planned? Who's going to make the call in terms of to stop, start, or change direction even? And therefore, if I think it's you and you think it's somebody else, then actually all of a sudden we're building in potential risk and potential inefficiency into the system that compromises our ability to deliver. So for me, accountability is all about a single point of ownership of it, whatever it is, whether it's a goal, a project, a change program, it really doesn't matter, but there's one single owner.
Okay.
Now, what that doesn't mean, though, is you can't have individual responsibilities allocated, but it's the collection of responsibilities that add up to the ultimate accountability. So I might allocate task A to you, you might allocate task B to me, task C to somebody else, etc., etc. But fundamentally, it's when you join those dots together, the successful completion of each of the dots ultimately means we deliver, but the accountability for the whole thing sits with one individual.
Right. That's an issue that we would like to get across here and to try to solve a little bit, or to sort of dispel some of the confusion that might exist at the moment in its application. And well, I don't think might is the right word. We see it all the time, don't we?
We do.
I wonder whether when RACI was designed, actually it was just that the acronym worked better by putting the R first, and the intention was never that we would have responsibility and accountability mixed up. But it certainly has become mixed up because everybody takes that sort of chronological order to be that responsibility is the overarching thing and then accountability comes next. And that's not the case. It shouldn't be like that.
Well, and you're absolutely right. The single biggest question we get asked, what's the difference between accountability and responsibility? And that's why I think repurposing this subtly with ARCI helps people to understand the priority order here. Accountability sits with Ricky. Responsibility for tasks A, B, C, D sit with Rob. E, F, G, H actually sit with Ricky or with somebody else. It doesn't matter. But fundamentally, there is one owner, because if there is any level of ambiguity, then we're de-risking it by making it single point of ownership, single point of accountability.
I think that's really perfect. So accountability, we're gonna put the case for it being ARCI. Accountability sits with the overarching goal. Responsibility then relates to the subtasks or the goals that make up the delivery of that overarching goal.
Yeah.
Which makes it really clear between some person being accountable and other people having some shared responsibility. And if we don't actually make the point, then it gets confusing for everybody.
Absolutely. The simple way of looking at this, if there's no single person accountable, it means it's not going to get done.
Right.
Because I might assume you're doing it, you might assume I'm doing it, and therefore there is risk, inbuilt risk, and you just can't afford. Certainly in the business world today, we're not awash with time, we're not awash with resource, we're not awash with unlimited financial budgets. So we've got to be more effective in how we do that, and taking confusion out and making it really simple. Who owns this? Who's accountable for it? Who's responsible for the components that sit within it?
Mm-hmm.
Who needs to be consulted in terms of the journey that we're going on? And who needs to be informed in terms of the changes or the resultant outputs of this particular project or program?
Well, for me, that's it. That clarifies it perfectly. If we just go back to something you said earlier, RACI is a great tool. We're not denying that. We're not sort of saying the tool has to, be kicked into touch and a different tool needs to be brought in. We just need to clarify the use of the tool. And we think, and the point that we're putting forward here is that you just change the order of the R and the A and make the A come before the R. RACI becomes RC, and that responsibility piece is clarified. The accountability piece is clarified, and the tool still continues to be a great tool, but it's just now a lot easier to use.
It does exactly what we said. It removes the ambiguity at the very beginning and matches to the hierarchy of the goal planning process.
Next time on The Question Is.
The danger is you focus on too many and you achieve none of them, or you achieve just a small amount of them. So that's really not a very good sort of strategy to employ.
To find out how Thinking Focus can unlock the potential within your organization, go to www.thinkingfocus.com, where you'll discover more about the work we do, helping our clients increase productivity and enable change.